The clock stopped at 3:33 am. The house was silent except for the breath of the city outside, slow and heavy, like the world asleep beneath a blanket of fog. Then the air changed. It thickened, cooled, and carried the quiet presence of something that was not wind, not dream, not human. I opened my eyes and saw a shape by the window, not cruel, not monstrous, just still, time itself standing there. And then a voice, calm even, without malice, whispered into the room, "You have 30 minutes. At first I laughed, the kind of laugh people make when fear is too close to name. 30 minutes. The words echoed around the walls and settled inside me like weight. I looked again at the clock. Its hands were frozen. The air smelled faintly of rain, though the windows were dry. Denial came quickly. Denial bargains, reasons, argues with the inevitable. There must be a mistake. I have plans, appointments, promises. I have people who need me, and things I have not yet ruined or repaired. Give me an hour, give me a day, but the presence did not answer with pity or threat, only stillness. And within that stillness, a question formed, gentle but sharp. What will you do with the time you have? I stood there, pacing the floor, searching for escape in the cracks between seconds. Phones would not ring, screens would not wake, as if the world had stepped aside to let this moment pass unbroken. The quiet felt alive. It pressed against my chest until breath became confession. Then the room changed. The window filled with shifting reflections, pieces of a life I had been too busy to see. A kitchen filled with laughter I once ignored. A small hand I should have held longer. A promise postponed so many times it had turned to dust. They were not tragedies. They were omissions, the kind that build mountains out of neglect. I whispered, I thought I had more time. And the silence seemed to answer, you always think that. Time is not stolen. It is spent. Scenes came faster, arguments, half-written messages, the look in someone's eyes when I chose pride over kindness. Each fragment brighter than the one before, burning until regret and recognition became the same thing. A question rose from inside me. Are you evil? But the air carried back a truth deeper than comfort. Evil is choice. I am only the line between what ends and what remains. For the first time, I understood that the thing I feared was not death itself, it was the undone, the unsaid, the unlived. So I began to speak, not to plead, but to admit. I named the people I had wounded, the chances I had wasted, the love I had hidden behind busyness. Each word lifted something from my chest and placed it gently into the stillness. Then, for the first time, my phone lit up. Not because I willed it, but because honesty had reopened the circuitry of life. I dialed a number I had avoided for years. A tired voice answered, surprised. We spoke in broken sentences that stitched themselves into forgiveness. No grand declarations, just simple truth. It was enough. The minutes moved quietly. Outside, dawn crept toward the edges of the sky. Inside, I began to understand that 30 minutes could hold a lifetime if used well. I wrote a note for my daughter, a few lines on paper I found beside the bed. No lessons, no advice, just love written without delay. I placed it where morning light would find it. The world around me sharpened. Every object looked sacred, from the cup on the table to the dust on the shelves. Awareness is its own resurrection. I asked the air a final question. What happens after this? And the answer came softly. You carry forward what you truly are. Practice peace now. It will be familiar later. I opened the window. The night air was cool and smelled of wet stone and electricity. A neighbor walked by and stopped. We spoke, not about death, about a misunderstanding we had never fixed. A laugh escaped both of us, the simplest kind of miracle, reconciliation before silence. The last minutes did not tick loudly. They folded like pages closing in a book. The sky lightened. I felt gratitude rising like breath. When the presence finally moved closer, I did not step back. Will it hurt? I thought, but the air answered before words could form. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to meet truth without running. A warmth touched my forehead. No scythe, no shadow. just calm, weightless light, the kind you see in the instant before sleep. Then everything held its breath. For a heartbeat, all things waited. Walls, air, the small clock that had refused to move. And then time resumed. I exhaled once slowly. That breath was the bridge between this side and whatever waited beyond. No thunder, no trumpet, only stillness closing like the end of a song. Morning entered the room. The clock ticked again. Somewhere, a bird began to sing, its wings slicing gold through the mist. The world had not ended. It had simply continued without me, but it carried traces, footprints made of choice. A neighbor telling kinder stories. A daughter reading a note in sunlight. A stranger thinking, perhaps, about the value of half an hour. 30 minutes. That was all, and yet it was everything. So if ever the night grows quiet and the air feels heavier than usual, listen closely. Maybe time has stopped for you to notice how alive it still is. Use your minutes. Say the words. Hold the hands. Forgive while breath remains, because the hourglass does not warn when its last grain falls. It simply empties, and if one day you feel a presence near and hear a whisper counting down the space between heartbeats, do not waste it in panic. Look around. Look within. Remember, 30 minutes can be a lifetime when you truly live them.